That is the new Ford Bronco Raptor, and it is legitimately the most over-the-top, the most ridiculous factory four-wheel drive I have ever seen. But the question still remains, as I almost fall over, is it worth $80,000? Well, that's what we're going to find out in today's video. Now, Ford has flown myself and videographer Cole behind the camera down here to Palm Springs, California, where it is 110 degrees, so I do apologize if I start looking a little worse for wear here, but I couldn't miss the opportunity to drive one of the most anticipated off-roaders of my lifetime, because Ford started out with the Bronco, which is already so incredibly capable. Be it a very base model all the way up to the Badlands, a standard Bronco will go 99% of places you'd ever need to go. And then Ford said, we're not done. You can have it with a Sasquatch package, which gives you factory front and rear lockers and 35-inch tall tires. And I said, well, that'll go 99.9% of places anybody would ever need to go. But Ford said, we're not done. We're going to take the ante up to 11 and introduce the Bronco Raptor with 37-inch tall tires. And this will go, I'm just going to say it, 100% of places you'd ever want to go. Unless you're running, I don't know, Mount Everest. This is just insane. When I started off-roading, my very first four-wheel drive had 33-inch tall tires, and I said, oh yeah, I feel like the Fonz over here. And then I saw someone with 35s, I'm like, 35s? And then I saw someone with 37s, and I'm like, I would need to lift my vehicle 12 inches to put 37s. And now Ford does it from the factory and gives you a warranty and all the creature comforts that you'd come to expect for an $80,000 vehicle. I say that, almost all the creature comforts, and we'll talk about that in a second. So let's start with what is under the hood. Now, the standard Bronco, you can get it with a 2.3 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder. That's the same engine in the Ranger and the Mustang, and like the Ford Explorer, and it's a good potent engine, and you can get it with a 7-speed manual or a 10-speed automatic. And then you step up from there, you go over to the 2.7 liter twin turbo V6, basically out of the F-150. That one's automatic only, but the Bronco Raptor has a 3-liter twin turbo V6, a similar engine to what you'd find in the Ford Explorer ST, but they've changed the turbos. And in this vehicle, it makes 418 horsepower and 440 pound-feet of torque. Now that was a big challenge, and a lot of the reason that this engine makes so much power is because of de-restrictions in not only the intake, but the exhaust. So it's got a much more free-flowing intake and exhaust than a standard Bronco. It actually has a true dual exhaust. So from the headers all the way back, it's got 2 pipes and an active exhaust, and we'll play you that exhaust note here in a second. Now, to keep that engine cool, they've had to do a lot of work to the front end. This is significantly more cooling than a standard Bronco. It's got the FORD grille, but just about everywhere you can have an inlet. There is an inlet, and in there you can see some active grille shutters. But just as important as getting air in is getting all that hot air out of the engine, and that's where this hood bulge comes in. So this is a heat extractor to get all that hot air out of the engine, and it's completely functional, as are the ones on the fenders. Now that's more of a passive system. It's not quite as important at extracting air as the top one, but it's still there. And if you look up here, Cole, you'll see all these numbers, 67, 69, 71, 72. Those are significant years in the Ford Bronco timeline when it comes to the infamous Baja race down in Mexico. So that's why those are there up on the hood. Now, what do you think of this color? Eruption green. I think it is one of the best colors you can get on any Bronco, and it really looks good on the Raptor, specifically because of these. And this is the one area where I'm not super impressed with the styling. Now, this vehicle is a whopping 9.8 inches wider overall than a standard Bronco. It has 8.6 inches more width in the track than a standard Bronco. And to keep it road legal, you have to cover up the tires. Now, what Ford did is actually change the fender. So this is an SMC molded material. It's basically a very special plastic here. But that didn't do enough. So what they had to do is then add these fender extensions, these flares, on top of the fender, and I just think they look a little too goofy in my opinion. They're just a little bit too big relative to the fender width itself. I would say in my opinion, it would have looked a little better if they had widened the body color fender and then added a little lip rather than just making the whole thing kind of hear the lip. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's why I like the Eruption Green though, because it kind of hides it a little bit more than like the bright orange that they offer. But the venting along the side here is very cool. We've got marker lights because this vehicle requires them for the overall width. This thing is as wide as an F-150 Raptor. That is a serious amount of width. Now along the side we have these side steps, which are removable. So while these may not be able to withstand constant abuse out on the trail, simply 6 bolts pull them off, and then underneath here you've got a rocker rail to protect that rocker panel, which is a really nice touch. Bronco Raptor, only available in the 4-door configuration with a molding color hardtop. This one does have the optional graphics. I want to say those are about $1,000 for the side graphics. Back here, it's also got a different quarter panel because of the actual fender flare. Then once again, it's got that special SMC plastic material. And then the tail lights have to stick out further on a Raptor than a standard Bronco because this massive 37 sticks out so far. Regulation says you have to be able to see the tail lights from any angle. That's where that comes in. Now, if we come down here, Cole, check this out. I think this is a really nice touch. So there are the 2 dual exhausts. And what Ford has done properly is not stick them out the back like on a Raptor. On a Raptor F-150, they'd be right here, and they have a tendency to kind of get caught up off-road. But these are tucked up super high and away from all sorts of rocks. And then over here, check this out. They've got this trailer hitch with, they call this the beaver tail, because when they were testing this, they kept knocking out the plastic 7 and 4 pins. So what they did is add this little metal extrusion to keep that nice and secure. And if you want to kind of dive the camera deep, do you see these bars right here? Well, this adds additional towing capacity to the Bronco Raptor. So standard Bronco can tow up to 3,500, this beast up to 4,500. Now I want to give Cole my mic here. We're going to try to do this kind of carefully. I want to kind of give you a sense of what this sounds like. Sorry, I forgot. Brain fart, 110 degrees here. I want to give you a sense of what this sounds like in both quiet mode and the full-on off-road mode. We'll see what that active exhaust sounds like. So we'll start in quiet. I'll click the button and we'll go into the off-road setting. So there you have it. Try to be very careful so I don't blow out headphone users' ears here. Let me know which one sounds better. Okay, that's a stupid question. Let me know what you think it sounds like overall. And I think it's time we get out of the sun for just a little bit, hop on inside because there's a lot to talk about on the interior. So as Cole opens up this door here, I want to point out these seats. Now, these seats are manually adjustable, but they are unique to the Bronco. And on my initial kind of first impression, the seats are very, very good. So I was really worried that on the Raptor they'd be too aggressively bolstered, but they feel very, very nice. You can get them in both well, there's a few different seat materials, and I've kind of felt my hands over a few of them. My favorite is actually the marine grade vinyl. And check this out, you can also get it with vinyl floors, which is exactly what you want on an off-road vehicle. You can just wash it out. Love, love, love that Ford offers that even on an expensive Raptor model. So I think Cole and I are probably going to hop in, try to get out of the sun for a sec, and we'll show some other goodies on the inside of the Bronco Raptor. Now this model does have the Luxe package. So we've got, I mean, pretty much every goodie. And we also have some options on top of that. For example, these seat belts. Orange, very cool, but you have to pay for it, $395. And this carbon fiber trim, which you see here in the steering wheel, down here on the shifter, and then also kind of over here along the grab handle, that's going to run you nearly $1,800. So you do pay for all this fancy carbon. But the theme on the inside, of course, orange, as is now the official color of Raptor. So we see orange on the vents, orange across the dash, lots of orange on the steering wheel. So we've got this little centering mark in orange, stitching in orange, and then even the goat mode selected down here, orange. Basically, things that move or are important to the user experience have been painted orange. So like, look, the vents move, they're orange. The steering wheel, it's got orange accents. Even down here, these little nets, they move, they're useful, orange accenting. So that was kind of the thought there. Now, would I pay the $400 for the orange seatbelts? Probably not. Would I pay the $1,700 for the carbon? Probably not, because the rest of the interior is really very good, and you don't really need the carbon or the orange. So let's talk about some of the big changes. Take a look at the center mounted screen there, Cole. Now, the standard Bronco has a setup where you've got a analog tack and then this square that's digital, but on the Bronco Raptor, it's gone all digital, and this shows you all sorts of pertinent information, and it's also very configurable, so you can see and check out all sorts of different settings and system system settings, and it'll even change the orientation of the gauges depending on how you want it to be seen. It's a little overwhelming at first. Eventually, though, you do it enough times and you kind of get used to it. There's the performance view, which kind of centers the tachometer there. But check this out. So when we go into the different goat modes, if you want to check out the center cluster there, Cole, you'll see them actually change. So we got slippery mode, tow haul, which is new for the Raptor, sport, normal, off-road, Baja, Raptor specific, and then rock crawl. And I like how they actually have an actual Raptor Bronco in the center screen, not just a standard Bronco, which is a very nice touch. So some other great things about this cluster. If you kind of pan down to the steering wheel, Cole, you can check out these buttons. This button is actually how you change the exhaust. It'll also change depending on the goat modes, but you push in there and you can see the 4 different settings for the exhaust. So you've got quiet, you've got normal, you've got sport, and then you've got Baja. And they give you a warning for off-road use only, which I think is pretty cool. We also have different damper selections, normal, sport, and then even steering selections. And there's an R button on the steering wheel. That's like an M button on a BMW. But what that does is it basically allows you to configure and do a shortcut to your exact preferences, which is very, very nice. Big sync screen in the center, fairly standard to other Broncos, works great. It's got wireless phone connectivity, it's got big navigation screen, easy to use. And above that, the hero switches, baby. So we've got our stay bar disconnect. Bronco Raptor also has front and rear lockers, as well as the turn assist functionality. As we look up top, this one does have the optional sound deadening on the headliner, removable panels, and then over here, the aux switches. Very, very cool. I think that one of the first vehicles to actually introduce that was the very first generation Raptor in like 2009, 2010, kind of a fun thing there. Big center console here, Raptor logo there on the middle, Raptor stitching on the, or Raptor embossed, I should say, on the back of the seats. We got our window controls down here in the middle, an American flag on this carbon fiber and leather wrap shifter, and then the Ford Performance there on the little grille plate, which I do think looks very, very nice. Now, one thing missing in this model, we do have heated seats and heated steering wheel. This one is not equipped with ventilated seats. And then kind of an interesting thing, I think they changed this. I think our long-term Bronco's different. I think we have a little screen in our 2021 where you actually see the temperature. On this new one, it's actually displayed up there. Just kind of a small little tidbit. Now let's go ahead and kind of check out the trunk and we'll see what that has to offer as well. So not a huge number of changes compared to a standard Ford Bronco four-door. This is the bags to kind of keep your roof panels nice and secure. The seats do fold down, and then once again, that durable material continues throughout, which I just love. See what's underneath the floor there. Got our tire changing jack. Smallest jack for the biggest tires I've ever seen. And then down there, a little bit of extra storage. Now, is the Bronco Raptor worth $80,000? Well, it's the ultimate Bronco. I mean, this is the pinnacle, right? For a long time, the Sasquatch was the ultimate, but now Raptor's above the Sasquatch. Is there going to be something above the Raptor? They won't tell me. They won't tell a journalist, but they're I don't know. I honestly don't know. But currently, this is the top dog. It's got the Fox suspension. It's got the beefed up control arm. It's got the beefed up frame. This thing was designed for desert running, for cruising down like an absolute missile. Now let me know what you think in the comments section below. I don't know if I'd pay 80. I would probably go for a slightly less option one. You're still gonna get the full experience at its starting price of $70,000 with destination. It's 68 change and then like 1,500 in destination. But overall, you gotta love that this exists. I mean, it's just so off the wall. I'm so excited they did it. Be sure to stay tuned. We've got 0 to 60 testing. We've got off-road testing coming up very, very shortly. And we'll see you on the next video.